Welcome to the Leaders Building Leaders, What Do Leadership and Staff Retention Have in Common? This was originally presented at the Directors of Special Education Institute, September 7th through 9th, 2022. To you by the American Rescue Plan and Early Learning Team. Through American Rescue Plan funding, KDE's Office of Special Education and Early Learning and the Early Learning Team are working to enhance efforts at identifying students in preschool through second grade who experience the greatest loss of instruction due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Alicia Reeves. I'm the Assistant Early Learning Administrator within OSIL. I joined the department in January of 2022, joining to work on COVID recovery efforts for early learners. Prior to that, I was a director of special education and a preschool coordinator in a small district in South Central Kentucky for 16 and a half years.
And I'm Jennifer Hagan, and I'm an early learning specialist on the early learning team. And I joined the department in October of 2021. And before that, I had 19 years of experience at the district level in preschool.
So what is leadership? Leadership, both as a research area and as a practical skill, encompasses the ability to an individual, group, or organization to lead, influence, or guide other individuals, teams, or organizations. Also, educational leadership is the process of enlisting and guiding the talents and energies of leaders, students, and parents toward achieving common educational goals. If you'll notice, the word guide or guiding is highlighted in both definitions. And when we look at leadership, think of anytime you've taken a tour and you've had a tour guide. That guide has the ability to make or break your tour experience. A great guide could make even the most average tour seem like the most incredible tour you've ever been on. And a bad guide can ruin your entire experience. So when we look at our leadership in education and we think about leaders being the guides, the people that have the opportunity to make teachers' experiences great, that's a huge task. However, leaders are not only defined by their title or their power or their status. Those in assigned leadership roles are not the only leaders in your schools and in your districts. A leader, according to author Brene Brown, is anyone who takes the responsibility for recognizing the potential in people and ideas and who have the courage to develop that potential.
So as we begin our discussion, I'd like for you to take a minute to pause this video and look at this image that we've got on the screen and think about what is the difference between a leader and a manager. When we think of managers, another term to think about is they're diminishers. They think people won't figure it out without them. They underutilize their talent, create a tense environment. They're micromanagers and know-it-alls. But when we look at leaders, we can look at them as multipliers. They know that people are smart and will figure it out. They're talent finders and they attract talented people. They create an environment that brings out the best thinking and the best work. They are community builders and they give ownership to others.
So how do we build our leadership skills? Great leaders are also great communicators. Leaders know how to make connections. They're authentic. It's really important that as a leader, your communication is concise and direct. You have to make connections with your staff and build those relationships, but you also at the same time have to be able to hold those tough conversations. As a leader, you also are held accountable. Accountability is mandatory. You have to act ethically and responsibility, have to keep your word, and try not to make promises you can't keep. And then as a leader, you need to find ways to help the voices of those you lead be heard. Great leaders also have courage. Many people often get to a leadership position because they have vision and they have drive and direction. But once you've established that vision, you need to learn to trust your staff and empower them to grow as a leader. Leaders also have to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. Leaders have to have the courage to handle poor performance. This is hard. It's often easier in the beginning to ignore or avoid addressing poor performance until it grows into a bigger problem. But if you go back to the communicating and being authentic and clear and concise, you can really help other people grow if you have those tough conversations and you address the areas of concern in a timely manner. And good leaders communicate consistently. You're never going to have all the answers. No one does. But when you communicate consistently, you're transparent in your communication, you provide clear expectations, then others can follow your lead easily. Great leaders are vulnerable. You have to know and understand that you're enough. If you're watching this video, you either see yourself as a leader or aspire to grow as a leader. And that's a very vulnerable place to step into. Today's workforce is different. Our younger generations joining the field of education have choices. They have opportunities to do things that many of us couldn't even imagine as careers years ago. So the reason why many of them chose education is because their heart led them there. And they want to have relationships and be able to have camaraderie within their workforce so that they can talk to other teachers, to talk to their leaders, to share their ideas, to share experiences, and to have a space where they can feel safe doing that. If you look around our state right now, there are job openings in nearly every district. And when we consider that our teachers coming into the workforce now have choices, they can go anywhere, work anywhere, and do anything. It's the districts and the places who have the strongest leaders who are attracting our greatest teachers. When you look around and you see teachers driving 40 minutes to go to a job to teach in a classroom when there's a job available 5 minutes from their house, consider what is going on in the leadership in that district that would encourage that teacher to make that drive to go to a different district to work. Great leaders also have a growth mindset. We want to think about achieving the impossible. We want to think about dreaming bigger and having innovative and creative ideas to allow our staff and to allow our students to grow. And we can't continue to do education as we've always done education. The pandemic has demonstrated that for us. So how do we have a growth mindset and challenge ourselves as leaders to grow so that we can support our teachers in that growth as well? So what role does leadership play in staff retention? Why do our staff members leave? Is it because of low pay or ineffective leadership or lack of influence and respect? And why do staff members stay? They stay because of collaborative environments, and teacher agency and recognition and support. Where teachers feel valued and teachers feel they have a voice, they stay in those districts and they work in those districts and they aspire to become leaders in those districts.
So now we're going to look at cultivating leadership in your staff. And this will be, from a teacher perspective. So the first thing you have to do is look for leaders, right? You have to see who in your building is showing those leadership characteristics. And that can be teachers, that can be therapists, that can be support staff. But start small. Find a small action or idea that you recognize as potential leadership and go talk to that teacher. Tell them what inspired you and encourage them to pursue a leadership role in their area or grade level and have it extend beyond their classroom. So leadership can often be mistaken as, large or these grand ideas or actions. But we can encourage teachers to take small steps towards leadership. Just one idea or action, and them knowing that they have your support will go a long way. The next thing to do is to ask questions. We should be acknowledging that the teacher is the leader in their own classroom and asking questions about why and how lesson activities were designed to push forward the learning. That also helps the teacher become reflective in what they're doing. Questioning also demonstrates a curiosity and respect in the teacher's instruction when phrased in a positive and inquisitive manner. Demonstrating respect can provide support and confidence for a teacher to be more comfortable in pursuing leadership. Seek input from your teachers. To benefit both staff and your students, having teachers involved in these decision making makes sense. They're the ones in the classrooms. They're the ones that are seeing what works and what doesn't. Consistent collaboration on critical decisions strengthens administrator and teacher relationships. You can ask them input on professional development, new curriculums you're considering, activities that your school is doing. Teachers really like to be involved and sometimes are nervous about, reaching out or stepping out of their comfort zone and coming to you about that. So if you come to them, and ask them their input, they're more willing to give that to you in a respectful way. Encourage risk taking from your teachers. One of the most dangerous things that we hear in education is we've always done it this way. Classroom and school routines, they provide consistency that students need, but leaders encourage and embrace risk taking. We should be pushing our teachers to try something new, even in small ways, and even if it makes them uncomfortable. The most important part of encouraging risk taking is reassurance that failure is okay. Push the teacher to try, but also supporting them to let them know if it doesn't work, that's okay too. We can start over. We can look at another way. Collaboration. We've got to collaborate with our teachers, push the teachers with leadership potential to share their victories, small and large, with other teachers. The best teacher is the best thief who steals ideas from others and makes them work in their own classroom. Also, encourage teachers to observe others in action and collect and inspire ideas. One of the best ways that I was able to really grow as a teacher was to go and observe other teachers in my building. When you're in a classroom, you're consumed with what's happening inside your classroom. And so you don't really get to see what's going on outside of your classroom. So, encouraging those teachers to not only observe teachers that are next door to them, but possibly encouraging teachers to go and observe a grade level below or a grade level above. Those are ways that we can encourage teachers to collaborate and develop new ideas and new, inspiration for learning in their classroom.
So some of the projects that we're working on to help develop leadership skills include OSIL Guides, Growing, Uniting, Inspiring Directors of Early Learning and Special Education, which is a mentor program that's open to new administrators in special education in early learning who began their role during the 2019 to 2020 school year or later. This is going to provide an opportunity for individualized guidance and support with emphasis on supporting growth and development as a leader.
And a way that we are growing our teachers is we've created a teacher leader community. And it is a professional learning community that we opened to 150 participants across the Commonwealth. And it would be for the 2022-23 school year and also carry over into the 2023-24 school year. Through this community, it will be a hybrid learning approach. So we'll use both monthly virtual meetings and activities, and we will also host 3 in-person events over the next 2 years. Topics that we are currently looking at including in this community would be teacher leadership, family and community engagement, collaboration with kindergarten, challenging behaviors, literacy, math, and how do we use effective PLCs in the early childhood classrooms. We currently have around 70 to 75 applicants are actually participants in the program. At the time of this recording, we have completed 4 in-person events with teachers across the Commonwealth, and they are representing 52 school districts across the state of Kentucky. So we are really excited about where this work is growing. We've got a lot of really excited teacher leaders, and I'm really excited to see what our next steps will be in not only increasing the leadership in these teachers, but also carrying out that respect, that early childhood, the importance of early childhood across our state. So I want you to take a minute to kind of pause this video, and I want you to reflect on the things that we have shared today. Think of an example where you have cultivated leadership within your staff already, or maybe you're new to an administrative role. Think about how you could cultivate leadership within your staff. These are just some things to reflect and kind of you can think about, reaching out to somebody else who's maybe already in that leadership role and ask them how have they cultivated leadership. Or maybe it's something that you've done in the past that you've not reflected back on that you could bring back into your role currently.
And then if you have questions, feel free to reach out to either myself, Alicia Reeves, or Jennifer Hagan at the Department of Education, and we'll be happy to support and help you in any way needed in the area of leadership.